In today's lesson, we're going to cover a couple techniques that are used to make the 12-bar blues even more interesting. These embellishments are called the slide technique and the lift technique. Okay, so the slide technique we're going to use over the A7 chord, and the lift technique we're going to use over the E major. Okay, so we're going to start with the slide technique, and the main two slide techniques, we could either slide down like that, or we can slide up. Now, sliding down requires the second and third fingers to be on the third fret of the fourth and second strings, respectively. So we're going to strum that, and then without strumming again, we're just going to slide the fingers down. And you have to make sure that you're pushing down hard enough when you're sliding. And sliding from below the A7 chord, so sliding up, has the second and third fingers on the first fret of the the fourth and second strings. So we're going to be sliding up. All right. So let's try a couple of examples. The first one, we're going to do a slide from above. And the second example, we're going to slide from below. Okay, so we're going to start with the E major chord. And on the and of 4, notice that's where the sliding is going to occur. So the first example, let's try it sliding down. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now we're going to do it with the sliding up on the and of 4 in the first bar. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now before we move on to the next technique, I just want to talk briefly about the right hand strum pattern. So what we were doing before, we were doing a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 1. So on beat 1, we would actually do a downstroke. Let's try it this time with doing a miss on beat 1. So it'll sound like this. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a miss, a 2, a 3, a 4. All right, so it's going to sound just a little different. It's so subtle, but I want you to try it both ways. All right, now we're going to move on to the lift technique. So we're kind of already familiar with this from doing the switches between the chords. So remember on the and of 4 is when we'd actually switch to go to the next chord, and we'd have the open strings, like the open first, second, and third strings being played as we're moving our fingers. It's kind of the same technique, except this time we're doing it with the same chord in the next bar. So it's not really necessary technique like the switch technique. So an example of this would be going from an E chord and lifting your fingers off on the and of 4 just to go right back to the E chord again. It's purely a stylistic thing and not so much a technique that would be essential to be able to switch between chords. Okay, so let me show you the lift technique from the E to the E, lifting all the fingers, playing on the and of 4, and then landing on beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'll play it again. This time I'm going to miss on beat 1, and I'm going to take all my fingers and do what we call a hammer-on. And don't worry if you can't get this at first. It's kind of an advanced technique, but I want to show you how it works and how it sounds. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Miss. All right, now the final lift technique that I want to show you is a little easier than this previous one. And actually, all we do is lift off the first finger. So it's kind of like we're creating an E minor chord on the and of 4. So it'll sound like this, like that. And again, we could do a hammer-on, like that, or we can actually strum on beat 1. Okay, so I'll play it both ways for you. The first one, I'm going to strum on beat 1. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so in this final example, I'm going to do the exact same thing I just did, except I'm going to miss on beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Miss. All right, now we're going to take all the techniques that we just learned and apply them to the 12-bar blues. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that about wraps it up for today's lesson. And be sure to hop on over to the Practice Buddy where you can play along with this 12-bar blues example at 50 beats per minute and 100 beats per minute. All right, well, have fun, and I'll see you next time.